All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start this lesson by giving all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakurash. Call Halalim La Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakurash. Double honors, as always, to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who taught us all this truth. Shalom to all the Achim, and who also rule well, Salakia. Shalom to all the Achim in its truth and sincerity, starting with the 144,000 and the 1/3 of the nation of Israel, which we are fighting to be a part of. This is the brother ChaabarYakalATL coming back, Lord willing, with another quick and edifying lesson. And the title is Suffering for the Kingdom. All right, and this should be a real, just a, quick hit, quick little motivation, quick little comfort of the scriptures, As a matter of fact, since I said comfort of the scriptures, let me start with this, because, like Elder Apostle Tahar always says, well, she got it from that movie, Goodfellas. I don't know if they went up there and told you, but, this truth is about suffering, I don't know if they went up there and told you, but this truth is about suffering. But I'm going to start in Romans. I think is it 15? Hold up. Yeah, Romans 15:4. It says, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. In NLT, it says, such things were written in the scriptures long ago to teach us. And the scriptures give us hope and encouragement as we wait patiently for God's promises to be fulfilled, which, by the way, God, his true name in the ancient Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh. All right, Yahweh, which means he is, or he exists, or he to be. His son's name, his only begotten son, his beloved son, who the world ignorantly calls, JC, Christ. Like bro say the J word, his true name in the ancient Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh Shai. All right. But as this scripture just said, what all the things that are written in the past, or aforetime, as it says, long ago, is ultimately for our learning, okay, as a lesson to teach. All right. That's why we go through all type of different things, because it was already written. It's up to us, and I'm speaking for myself first and foremost, to actually just go into the scriptures, or watch a video, read, okay, do something spiritual to where you take heed or listen to the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, all right? Because the scripture says, wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way by taking heed thereto according to thy word, all right? So whether it be doing a lesson of your own, reading, scripture says, blessed is he that readeth, which that's reading with understanding, all right? Because a lot of people read the Bible and they're not of the elect, a lot of Christians. But basically, what was I saying? Doing something spiritual, it gives us comfort because you're going into the scriptures. You're going into what was written aforetime. All right, the different accounts of our forefathers, who went through extreme faith tests, extreme tests of their faith. All right. So we're supposed to be encouraged by that. All right. Like it says, an encouragement as we wait patiently, which the word patience is essentially your ability to suffer. Okay. And we have to be patient. That's one of the main lessons that the Lord is teaching us as a nation, but beginning with the elect, all right, of you Israelites, which are you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, and also Israelite foreigners, okay, who might not look like the typical Israelite. But it starts with the elect of those people. Let me see. Back in the KJV in verse 5, it says, Now Yahweh, or it says, now the God of patience, which is Yahweh, and consolation grant you to be like-minded one toward another, according to Yahweh Shai. And the NLT, may the Most High, who gives this patience and encouragement, help you live in complete harmony with each other, as is fitting for the followers of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. And that would be a good prayer, speaking to myself first and foremost. That would be something good to pray for, But I'm gonna go ahead and get 2 Thessalonians 1 and 3 real quick. All right, it says, we are bound to thank you. Oh, and by the way, what inspired this lesson was this scripture, which the Bishop of Ratazah of my camp, he posted that earlier in the chat. Just want to say that, give credit where credit is due, which ultimately is Yahweh Bashem Yahshai, called Halalim. Verse 3 says, we are bound to thank Yahweh always for you, brethren, as it is meet, because that your faith groweth exceedingly. This truth is about growing, all right, not being stagnant, all right. Our faith, which is a spiritual component, is supposed to be growing. It's not supposed to be stagnant, all right. Spiritually, that's why the scripture says, Yahweh Shah said, he that believeth on me, out of his belly, he that believeth on me, as the scripture has said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. That's spiritual. It's not an actual, your stomach doesn't just burst open and water starts shooting out like a fire hydrant. That's symbolic. That's spiritual. It's a metaphor. All right. Spiritually, you're gonna be if you believe in Yahweh Shai, as the scripture said, spiritually you're gonna grow. All right. You're gonna prosper. You're gonna be animated, alive. All right. That's why it says that the spirit quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. Okay. These words is what's spiritual. These words is it's the comforter. It says we are bound. Salaki. It says we are bound to thank the Most High always for you, brethren, as it is meet, because that your faith groweth exceedingly, and that the charity, which is brotherly love, of every one of you, all toward each other, aboundeth. All right. And that's a part of the fruits of the spirit as well. Charity, long suffering. All right. Patience, joy. Okay. All those things. And it's all a part of the body of Yahweh Shai, the believers. Okay. Brethren dwelling together in unity. Psalms 133 and 1. All right. It's a beautiful thing. And that's how this truth is real, because it's an actual body of believers, just like the scripture said it would be. Okay, someone got to be the elect, and the elect is going to be together. They're going to be teaching. They're going to be on one accord. They're not going to be, one member of the elect isn't going to be saying that MOTB is an embargo, and then another member saying it's the RFID chip, and then another member is saying it's really sin or it's Christianity. The elect is all going to say it's the same thing. It's that RFID micro C-hip. It's that device the size of a grain of rice. It's that brain C-hip. That brain CHIP. All right. The Neuralink. See, the elect is going to be on one accord. All right. The elect is going to say only the elect can get it. That's a part of the new song. Only the elect can get it. That's a part of it. And the elect is going to know it. All right. But that's why it speaks about growing, because we're not all on the same level of faith. There's brothers that are just coming into this truth. Their faith isn't on the same level as a man that's been in the truth for years already, So we're all growing, and we're all working for that penny. Okay, that reward, which is the kingdom of heaven. We're suffering for the kingdom. Going back to the title. Hold up. Oh yeah, verse 4. Let me read verse 4. It says, so that we ourselves glory in you in the churches of Yahweh, for your patience and faith in all your persecutions and tribulations that ye endure. Showing you that's a part of the path. That's a part of the course. the tribulations that we have to endure. All right. Which the word endure basically means you go through something. You go through something and it makes you harder. It makes you stronger, tougher, more resilient. That's what endurance means. It says, but we glory in that. We glory in the fact that we're able to suffer and still maintain our faith. That's something to be happy about. As I said, I mentioned the fruits of the Spirit, joy. That's something to be joyful in. That you went through something and you came out the other side and your faith is intact and it's stronger. We're going to continue to go through that. We haven't gotten to the hard part yet, like our elders said. So it's going to continue to be like that. From one test to another. From one level of faith to another. Verse 5, which is a manifest token of the righteous judgment of Yahweh, that ye may be counted worthy of the kingdom of Yahweh, for which ye also suffer. So a token or a sign, that's something that's an indicator. All right. So the sufferings and the our patience and our faith being tested and us enduring is a sign. It's an indication that we're a hopeful member of the elect and that we're on that straight gate. That's an indication. That's what that word token means. Of the righteous judgment of Yahweh, that ye may be counted worthy of the kingdom of Yahweh, for which ye also suffer. That's why we're suffering. It might be a new Israelite in this truth who the Lord leads them to the right teachers. Our elders and apostles starting at Great Millstone. Our teachers will tell you this truth is about suffering. A new Israelite might be like, why? Why do we have to suffer? For the kingdom. That's why it says, for which ye also suffer, for the kingdom of heaven. All right. It wouldn't be good if the Lord just gave us the kingdom right off the rip. No, the Lord, He's making it to where when we finally get it, we're gonna understand why He set it up the way He did, and we're also gonna appreciate it that much more. We had to learn the negative to understand and appreciate the positive, the righteousness, because righteousness is gonna be the new, standard on the planet Earth coming up when Yahweh Shai returns. And when the Israelites take over underneath Yahweh Shai, beginning with the elect, that's going to be the government of the kingdom of heaven. I'm going to get Psalms 86 and 17. Psalms 86 and 17. It says, turn unto me and have mercy upon me. Give thy strength unto thy servant, and save the son of thine handmaid. Show me a token for good, that they which hate me may see it, and be ashamed, because thou, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, hast hope in me, and comforted me. So that goes into that token, of the righteous judgment of Yahweh, which is us, suffering for the kingdom of heaven. That's a token. To where when our enemies, when the 2/3 come back in the kingdom, they're going to be ashamed. Because this whole thing, this is all a movie. And Lord willing, we're of the elect. When we get, saved in the kingdom, the Lord is going to allow the Israelites to watch the whole movie. So the 2/3, they're going to be ashamed, seeing that what we went through, seeing the tribulation, us having to suffer. The elect for the kingdom of heaven's sake, the 2/3 are going to be ashamed at that, and that shame is going to start on this side. I'm going to end off with Romans chapter 8 and 17. All right, and it says, hold up, yeah, it says, and if children, then heirs of Yahweh, and joint heirs with Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is going to share his inheritance with us. He's going to share his kingdom with us. Because the kingdom of heaven is really Yahweh Shai's kingdom. The earth really belongs to Yahweh Shai. Read Psalms chapter 8. All right, read Psalm 72. Okay, but he's gonna share it with us. We're gonna be joint heirs, a joint rulership with Yahweh Shai. It says, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. So we're suffering with Yahweh Shai to be glorified with him. The scripture says, when he shall appear, we shall be like him. It says, for I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. So you can't compare it with the Lord, unlocking our true potential when he gives us those new bodies. When he saves us from that nuclear destruction which is coming to Babylon the Great, America, he beams us up and changes these vile bodies into a superhuman, immortal body. That's what he's going to do for us, man. That's us being glorified with Yahweh Shai because we suffered with him. That's the reward. And the sufferings is nothing but an indicator of us being on that path of the straight gate to receive that reward. So Lowell in this lesson was edifying, once again giving our praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakha Kurash, Shalom.